Limitless Wrestling fans. John Alba here with the czar of Limitless Wrestling, Randy Carver. Randy, we are back in the back of a Cadillac #1 with a bullet and a power pack. The Let's Wrestle show in the rear view mirror, both our podcast episode and the Let's Wrestle show itself. Lots of stuff to go over, and we're answering some fan questions this week on the Limitless Wrestling Podcast as part of hashtag Ask Limitless. First off, what kind of feedback did you hear about our podcast episode last week? I thought it was one of our very best.
Yes, that's what I heard from a lot of people, because I looked back. I don't think we've covered Let's Wrestle in full like that since literally the first 10 episodes we had. So it had been a long time, and I think people... we've had a lot of new fans that have tuned into the podcast since then who may not know a thing about Let's Wrestle. So I think it was very well received. I got a lot of messages, I think more than I've ever got from people in tweets that just said that they enjoyed the episode. And I think
Good.
We were very thorough with everything that we talked about. And it was just a really fun episode to do deep dives like that. I think we should do more of them when it relates to Limitless or Let's Wrestle. But I really enjoyed the episode. I actually listened back myself, and it was a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, again, thank you to Josh Nason for the suggestion there. And if you guys have any suggestions for what you'd like to hear episodes about, hey, let us know.
I want to plug Josh real quick, too. Josh had a podcast drop either today or yesterday with Danhausen
Nice.
That I started today. Really fun listen. Josh Nason's Punch Out. So if you want to check that out, please do. But yeah, a great suggestion for the episode last week.
Yeah, and Limitless Wrestling got a little love. I did the Living the Gimmick podcast this past week with Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. We were talking Limitless a little bit too. So lots of love to go around in a lot of places. But seriously, if you guys have an idea for a podcast episode that you want to hear a deep dive into, let us know at LW Main.
Please. We'd love more suggestions.
It makes Randy and mine's job easier if we have someone telling us what they want to hear. So that's certainly something that we can do. We got lots to go over, so let's do that now, Randy. Let's talk Let's Wrestle. The show is in the books, Volume 13, and things got a little cray-cray.
They did.
As I would have suggested, predicted, spoiled. Mac Daniels knocking off the champ, Mike McCarthy. His first match as Let's Wrestle champion, he loses to Mac Daniels. And now Mac Daniels, Alec Price, and Mike McCarthy are going to have themselves a little three-way dance on March 7th at the American Legion Post 84 for the Let's Wrestle Championship.
I would just like to point out that your boy Mac Daniels did this with a lot of shenanigans.
He didn't need any of that help.
I'm saying the referee was knocked out after he tried to hit the magnificent slam. Alec Price comes to ringside, distracts McCarthy, who had already tapped out Mac Daniels in the center of the ring. No referee there, but it happened. It's on film. It'll be on YouTube very soon.
Oh, just like the Let's Rumble? Is that on film too, Randy?
Yes, it is, John. Chill out. Coming this week to youtube.com/Limitless Wrestling. But, the fact remains, Mac Daniels defeated the champion, as you said, Mike McCarthy's first Let's Wrestle show as champion. He loses, and you finally got your wish. General manager Johnny Torres steps in, and after your boy ate a chair shot, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Johnny Torres made it official. It's going to be a triple threat match. McCarthy, Price, Mac Daniels for the Let's Wrestle Championship, Saturday, March 7th, Volume 14.
That's a
I am very excited.
Big time main event right there.
It is, and it's a big-time opportunity for your boy, and Alec Price really screwed the pooch on this one because he would have had a one-on-one singles match in March if not putting his nose in McCarthy's business in this match. So very interesting to see what plays out here for all competitors, but I know Mike McCarthy wants to get some revenge on both competitors after Let's Rumble, after Volume 13. He's not the happiest camper in the locker room.
But you even told me off air that you thought this was the best that Mac Daniels has looked yet.
I do. I think this is one of the best McCarthy matches in Let's Wrestle, and I think it's definitely the best Mac Daniels match in Let's Wrestle. I just think both of them were on another level, and you just got so many different aspects of wrestling, I think, covered in one match. It felt new school. It felt old school. It was just a fun watch, and I really enjoyed watching it. I got to catch the whole match, luckily, and had a lot of fun watching it. So I think when this hits YouTube, I think people are going to really enjoy it. And I mean, I'm with you. I think Mac Daniel's on his way up the ranks, and we'll see if he can walk out champion on March 7th.
You're not kidding. You better believe it. I was so proud of him, man. And
Sure.
Alec Price, sure, he got involved, but we did not ask for Alec Price to get involved. That was his decision.
I know.
And as you said, he might have ended up shooting himself in the foot here. But Alec Price was busy earlier in the night as well.
He was. He had a very interesting start to the night. He raced to the ring. He was very pissed off that McCarthy hadn't announced his opponent yet. It was Pick Your Poison. So then the Drifters rolled out, and Alec Price, laid waste of Ike the Bite. Unfortunate for Ike, but McCarthy strolled out with a 3-pack of red snappers and gave them to the Drifters and said, "Hey, man, Ike wasn't your opponent. They just came out here because I promised them hot dogs." And it was not a fun start to the night for Alec, but he did get the job done 2 times, defeating DL Hurst. A hell of a match.
Yeah, really good match.
It's available already on YouTube if you want to check it out. That's one I would honestly love to run back on a Limitless show. I think it was a lot of fun. But Alec Price walking out victorious with the surprise kick to the back of the head, and he moves on to March 7th with a victory.
I want to manage DL Hurst one day. We were
Really?
talking
Why?
about this on Twitter. There's just something about him, man. I think he's got something special, and I think with a little extra something, he'd really take it to the next level.
I feel like you're 2 very opposite people, though.
Opposites attract.
All right, buddy.
Opposites attract. Look, I'll be the first to admit I look nothing like Mac Daniels. But I sure think we make a good team.
Do you like Daughtry as much as DL Hurst?
Did you not see the picture that I posted of me looking at Mac Daniels?
Oh, I saw it. You were Myron.
Myron. It's called Myron. Okay? It's like looking in a mirror. You don't even know Myron. What is
Myron.
What is wrong with you people up there?
Up there.
Oh, my goodness.
You're now a Florida guy?
First off, I'm Jersey born and bred. We don't pump gas, we pump fists. Okay?
Oh, man.
All right? But yeah, I'm a Florida man now. You might see me wrestling a gator one day. Or you might see me wrestling the Belfast Bulldog, Dave Dyer, who got his ass handed to him in this tag team gauntlet. Things got a little crazy in this one. Pretty good showing, all things considered, for the team of BRG and Malik Logan, though. Little tag team reunion for them.
Yeah, I think multiple times in that matchup they should have won it, but Classic Core getting the best of them at the end. They had a fantastic showing, so I think we've got the tag title match of the Stigma and the Classic Core set up for March 7th. Don't be surprised if BRG and Malik are waiting for the winning tag team in April.
No doubt, and you mentioned the Stigma is facing them. That's because the Stigma knocked off the Main State Posse.
Big win for them.
Huge win.
Main State Posse, I think, for years have been regarded as the best tag team in Maine wrestling. And, on this night, the Stigma were the better team. Eric Johnson, Brandino Davis, a hell of a showing. Eric Johnson, this was kind of an emotional match for everyone involved because I was, very early in my wrestling tenure when Aiden Agro and Danger Kid started training under the tutelage of Eric Johnson. So we've all kind of done this ride together, at least in the, same time frame for a while. And they hadn't wrestled Eric Johnson. Jesus, I think it was like 3 or 4 years in a scenario like this. So it was very cool to see, to be in attendance for both the match when they were really just students starting out against their trainer to now being, in my opinion, the best tag team in the Northeast, going up against their trainer once again, who holds the tag team championships. And the trainer outsmarted the student on this night. And big win for the Stigma, who I think really needed a solidifying victory like this in Let's Wrestle. I mean, they've defeated great teams, Team Hispana, Mad, the Syndicate, but I think this really solidifies them on top of the tag team mountain in Let's Wrestle.
And the match that everyone's talking about coming off of this show, and it's actually earned Rip Bison a shot on a Limitless Wrestling show. Kobe Christ and Rip Bison put on a just brutal, hard-hitting, but super fun match on this. And now Rip, the reinvented Tomahawk, is now going to be showing up on February 22nd at Practice What You Preach.
This blew my brains. Like it was insane. And I knew putting this match together, because for anyone who follows like the YouTube content that we put up frequently, this is a match that we did at the beginning of the year, like last winter at a one of the early dojo tapings we had here in Brewer. And it was very good then, and it's just very interesting now because both Covey Christ, Rip Bison, formerly Tomahawk, as you said, they've both kind of reinvented themselves over the year. And starting 2020, I think they're both on a tear to make it into Limitless full time and be, key roster members for us moving forward. And this match really solidified that thought for me, because just an incredible performance from both guys. It felt like 90s Japan, and it was just so fucking fun. And as you said, Rip Bison, that earned him a spot. Not only that, he had a banger of a match with Scott Wilde at the dojo taping the next day. That's going to go up this coming week as well. So be on the lookout for that. But just two incredible performances, 2 straight days. It had been on my mind for a few days, because this is one of the few times where a couple weeks out, I didn't have like the last couple matches confirmed for the Limitless show, because I genuinely wanted to see what happened with this Let's Wrestle show. There were quite a few matches that were put together for, specifically to test some people and to see where everyone was and to see what we had in some of the wrestlers on the roster. And I'm really glad that I waited, because now we've got Rip Bison and Warhorse going one-on-one next Saturday at Practice What You Preach. And that's one of the matches I'm most excited for now, just because it could blow people's minds who maybe don't know Rip Bison and maybe haven't seen Warhorse in this capacity.
Let's get into it. Practice What You Preach coming to you from Yarmouth, Maine. Under 60 tickets remain as of this recording at limitlesswrestling.com, Randy.
Yeah, they've been moving very quickly over the past couple days. So if you're looking to get a ticket, we're going to stop mailing them on Wednesday next week. So if you order over the weekend, they're for sure going out on Monday. So you'll have them in your hands before Saturday. I would definitely recommend it if you plan on coming.
You are going to get Warhorse and Rip Bison, 2 guys who are just insane. Like, literally, they are crazy.
So it's a battle of the cattle.
So that one could get interesting. You announced a lot of stuff for this show in this past week. So yeah, let's talk about it. We knew JT Dunn had to find a tag team partner against CJ Cruz and Josh Briggs when this announcement was made. I was genuinely very excited. A guy who I think is getting very hot in pro wrestling right now, Hammerstone, doing great stuff in MLW with Richard Holiday and MJF. Well, now we're seeing him here in Limitless Wrestling, tagging with JT Dunn against CJ Cruz and Josh Briggs.
So full disclosure, the original plan here was to try to get a Juicy Products reunion. And I think I genuinely think people didn't know what direction this was going to take. David Starr was number 1 on the list, but this kind of fell into our lap, a couple weeks ago, where we had the opportunity to set this up. We worked it out with Chaotic Wrestling because he's going to be there the day before, and makes for a good partner for JT Dunn, who certainly in the Limitless Wrestling, the core roster of Limitless Wrestling, I don't think JT Dunn has one friend. I don't know if he has anyone who would piss on him if he was on fire, to be honest, but when you throw a little cash out there, you can get someone like Hammerstone.
And what does Hammerstone have to lose here? This is his chance to continue to grow his brand, show what he can do to a new audience, and I think this is a great pick. The dude hits hard as hell.
And, he can come in first night, team with a pillar of Limitless Wrestling, and defeat 2 of the most popular guys right now in Josh Briggs and CJ Cruz. So could be a very beneficial night for Hammerstone. And who knows, you could be seeing him pretty consistently throughout the spring and summer in Limitless Wrestling if he can get a big win here over Josh Briggs and CJ Cruz.
Here's a match I know you're super excited about. Jake Something versus Alec Price.
Oh, I'm wicked excited about it. I think this is a death sentence. Alec Price, his mouth runs faster than anyone possibly could. And, he's after every single show, I feel, whether he gets the shit kicked out of him or not. I mean, he walked out victorious for the first time in Limitless Wrestling last show, defeating Danhausen. And now I think he's got a big head. He called out anyone, however tall they stand, however big they may be. He wants them all. So if he wants something, we'll give him something.
Well, just look where his mouth got him in Let's Wrestle. And now you amplify the stage even more. Jake Something's not going to take it easy on him.
No, I mean, I would think that Alec would have learned his lesson after the one-on-one match he had with JD Drake, where his chest looked like raw meat. But maybe it takes a few to learn.
We've got the MSP Tag Team Invitational. The Mainstay Posse confirmed for this. Good friends forever. Oswald Project and Demarest versus...
Now we're even, motherfucker.
Okay, you're right. You're right, we are. You know I'm bad with some of these.
I know.
You know I'm bad with some of these. I was watching some Oswald Project earlier this week, by the way.
What do you think?
Again, he's still winning me over. Like, it's a bit of a process, but there's no doubt he's got something special.
I think you would enjoy him a lot if you got the live experience. Mm-hmm. It's, to me, the live experience of Oswald Project, I think, resonates like an Orange Cassidy, where sometimes I think it's very beneficial to be in the building in that moment and experience it with people than on film. But he's a lot of fun. And
Whatever It Takes is in this. Mark Sterling, who we've talked a little bit about in the past couple of weeks, and VSK.
Did you see the video package they put together?
It was awesome.
Very excited for this one. There's still one team remaining as well. This will be a 4-way tag team match, so expect an announcement on that this week.
Is this going to be an elimination tag, Randy, or is this going to be a straight-up fatal 4-way tag team match?
This is straight up one fall to a finish. This is very reminiscent of the first match ever in Limitless Wrestling history at Stage 1. We had a lot of these 4-way tag matches early on within the first year, and Mainstay Posse, and looking for more competition. They want to amplify up what they've been doing lately, and they're going to move from just regular 2-on-2 tags to now 4-way tags and see if they can still continue their winning ways. And I think that's very bold, and it's kind of cool that we're going back to our roots, because this is a 4-way tag in Limitless that MSP has never been able to participate in until now, because really we stopped doing them right around the time MSP became a tag team, weirdly enough. But fun teams in this: Oswald Project and Demarest. Matt Demarest is my favorite backyard wrestler of all time. I know that's a weird thing to say, but he's an extremely popular wrestler in the backyard wrestling community. Someone who my friend Cole and I would watch hours on end and just try to do some of the shit. But he was absolutely insane, and now has got some training at the Chikara Wrestle Factory, has become a professional wrestler, and is still fucking awesome. I saw him at Retro AG's show a few months ago and was blown away that this dude's doing what he is inside a pro wrestling ring still. So very excited to have him, and Whatever It Takes, I think, is super fun. It's a VSK who many Limitless fans may remember, one half of Massage NV with Dorian Graves. This is a new look on VSK, and Smart Mark Sterling is definitely looking to return and be taken seriously for the first time in Limitless Wrestling. And if you can defeat MSP in their own tag team invitational, I think that's the way to do it.
Absolutely. We're doing a rematch. Myron Reed and Christian Casanova, they had a banger the first time. This one will bang off that banger.
Yeah, how could we not do this again with these two on the card?
It's a different Christian Casanova, too.
What's that?
It's a different Christian Casanova this time.
Oh, yeah. This is a whole different attitude, a whole new outlook on Limitless Wrestling for Christian Casanova. And, he really does have a lot to prove right now. Even though he didn't take the pinfall in that triple threat, he still lost the match. So this is the beginning of the climb back to the top for Christian if he wants another title match at Retro AG. But he's got to go through Myron Reed once again to get there.
That he certainly does. Can't wait for that. Chris Statlander and Jody Threat.
Very excited for this one. This will be a second time ever match because they're wrestling the night before for AAW. But
and what do you think that means then? Like, you got to think that's going to produce a better match this time around, because they're going to see each other the night before, have each other scouted, and assuming they both survive the match without beating each other to a pulp, that should mean you'll get a lot of mind games in this, I feel like.
It'll definitely make it more interesting. They will have, somewhat of a comfort with the opponent standing across the ring because they know some of the things that will be thrown at them. But I think this is a huge for Jody and huge for Chris as well, because Chris really, if we're talking the Limitless Wrestling title picture, what is Chris? Maybe one big win or maybe two big wins away from being considered in that. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. I think there are a lot of people in front of her, though, and that's not a fault of her own. It's just the level of competition right now in Limitless Wrestling. You have people like Ashley Vox, who is going against Daniel Garcia on this show. You have people like Christian Casanova who have legitimate cases as well.
I think Ashley and Chris stand on the same level here, where they are both one or two more wins away from, getting a championship match. And I think it's well deserved for both of them. I think Christian, where having just received one, regardless if he was, involved in the pinfall or not, I think that does put him a step below. But I can agree with that assessment for sure.
I don't know. But then if he goes out and beats Myron Reed, who has legitimate street cred.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's far off. I just think with him just receiving a championship match, I mean, Chris and Ashley have to have a bigger right than him.
If Christian didn't get screwed, I'd agree with you, but I'm not so certain that's the case.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I just, here's the big thing is that he did have his shot, as did Ashley last May, not against Anthony Greene, but she did have a shot at it as well. Chris is sitting there with no title shot yet under her belt. And I do think that is deserved. That's why I think that she's up there. But
I'd be scared if I'm Anthony
I agree with
Greene.
Ashley Vox.
I'd be scared if I were AG going against someone like Chris Statlander.
I'd be scared going against Chris Dickinson.
Well, that's what's happening because he's going against the future MLW talent, Chris Dickinson. That just happened this past week as well. Pretty cool stuff there. Lots of meat in that ring. I know you're stoked. I'm stoked. Can't wait.
Chris is living his best life right now. Just got back from Japan. I think we're getting the best Chris Dickinson. And not saying that we haven't before, but I think he's at his best form right now in his professional wressling career.
When was the last time we had Chris?
Chris Dickinson.
End of summer, early fall?
I don't even think he's been in Yarmouth yet. Has it been since Know Your Enemy?
Okay, so yeah, Know Your Enemy, yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I think that's correct.
So he's got to be hungry about some stuff here.
I mean, I think midsummer, you could consider Chris Dickinson, and I'm talking last summer, I think you could consider him in the title picture. Like we were just talking about, I feel like there's 3 or 4 perennial contenders for the Limitless Championship at all times. And I think someone like Chris Dickinson, with the amount of victories he's had throughout his Limitless Wrestling career thus far, it's definitely earned. So I'm very excited for this one. This is a big test for Anthony Greene, who continues to say that he wants the best in professional wrestling to wrestle for the Limitless Wrestling Championship. You got to wonder if he got in over his head a little bit here, but I'm very excited for it nonetheless. A big test for Anthony Greene and a big match for Chris Dickinson coming off a tour of Japan.
When are we going to find out who Trevor Murdoch's facing?
I think we're going to drop that on Sunday if all goes to plan. So be on the lookout. 2 fresh debuts going at it in that match, and that's all I'll say.
Okay, so new name here, so that's good. Anything else about the show you want to plug?
I think we got it all so far. There's still more to be announced, so definitely stay in touch with the event page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter if you don't already at LW Main. That's where all of our announcements get posted. And as we said at the top, under 60 tickets remain. I think 55 at the time of recording. So definitely get on that. LimitlessWrestling.com/tickets. If you want to grab yours, definitely do it. We'll be shipping until Wednesday.
Well, we asked you guys to ask your questions. #AskLimitless. We got plenty to delve into. Let's get to it. Why don't we? Alex asked, now that Randy booked Trevor Murdoch, who's next on the wish list? We've had Gangrel. We've had Trevor Murdoch.
It's tough because before he was re-signed to WWE, my easy answer would have been Shelton Benjamin. Mm-hmm. There was 2 separate occasions where we almost had Shelton Benjamin. One of them did not happen due to injury. The other because he got re-signed. Happy for him, but he was on the top of my list. I'm trying to think of who. Is there anybody up there for you?
Well, I can't go too into depth here, but all I'll say is if he were to just happen to do a few indie shows, Matt Hardy is the guy.
Oh, Matt Hardy would be sweet.
That's the guy. If it were to happen.
I have a big return that I've been trying to get for a few months. I want to get Super Crazy back up here.
Yeah, he was great. And
I've been working on that the past couple months, so I'm hoping that we can get something that works out.
He was definitely great.
Such a nice dude.
It's so cool seeing all these Limitless talent, man, hit the big time. I mean, Jeff Cobb on AEW this week. Just
Did you see the news today, like literally an hour ago, of our boy JD Drake on NXT on a house show?
Oh, in Tampa?
Yeah.
In Tampa?
Ryan Curry, Limitless's shredder extraordinaire.
Yes.
He is in Tampa right now for a conference, I believe, and he went to they had a live show just somewhere, and he's like, when the hell did JD Drake sign? And I'm thinking, oh, he's got to be, thinking of someone that looks like JD Drake. And then he sends me a picture of JD Drake versus Dio Madden in an NXT ring. I'm like, wow.
It's those Evolve deals, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's
but
great. It's great. That's awesome.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I don't know. Matt Hardy to me, man. I think Matt Hardy is the guy. And I can't go too into this right now, but my gut tells me that that's a guy who would do very, very well doing a short little indie circuit before he decided what his next step would be, if that makes sense.
I think so too. I wonder if that's even something that he wants to do, but it'd be very cool if so.
Yeah, it certainly would. And the Hardys give back to wrestling, man. They certainly do, especially Matt. Matt is a smart guy.
Yeah.
He is a smart guy. Let's see here. Tyler asks, who is Anthony Greene's number one choice to defend his championship against?
We should get him on here and ask him that. If I were to guess, I would say Lightning Mike Quackenbush. Okay. But that's 100% a guess. I will ask him, and maybe we can talk about it next week. But I don't know. I don't know who his top choice would be. I know David Arquette would be up there for him as well.
I did not like that you posted a picture of myself and Anthony Greene that was not authorized to be released.
Oh, the photographer who took it, Jess, she said it was all cool. Wrestlebrook, you know her.
Am I getting any royalties for said photo?
What money do you think we made off an Ask Limitless question with that photo?
Well, based on the Twitter interaction that photo got, I think quite a bit, possibly.
Oh, people were pretty hot for that picture. It's a good picture. I like it. You look good.
Yeah. Okay. Corey asks, will we see any new venues for Limitless in 2020?
I am hoping so.
Do you want to get back to the Armory?
Well, they don't return my emails now. So
okay.
Yeah. I have sent them two since flirting with disaster, actually. So 2 in the past 3 weeks. Haven't heard anything back. The last I did hear was the first week of January, which they told me to email them again in February, and I did. So basically, when I talked to them in January, it was going off a month-by-month basis because it's being used as a storage facility right now. So they're not accepting bookings whatsoever at the Westbrook Armory. But I do have a meeting next week with a new building in the South Portland area.
Okay.
So that is something that's a prospect. And I do think this is not a new venue, but everything is pointing to us having another event at the Portland Expo this summer.
Very nice.
So be on the lookout for that.
And you had mentioned to me when you were talking about the Expo that you had looked into Aura too over there in Portland, right?
I did. Aura is really maxing out our budget, but I do think that's something that could be attainable within the next year or so. It all depends on really how we do and availability of the building and when we want to run it. But we are looking into new things, and but I do really like the home that we have right now in Yarmouth. It does make it sustainable for us to hold monthly shows. And I don't think we're going to abandon Yarmouth for anything, but I think that we definitely are going to add some more venues into the mix if we can help it.
Jason asks, what non-wrestling podcasts, if any, do John and Randy listen to on a weekly basis?
I am a big-time subscriber of the Around the NFL podcast. I've been into football hard for the past 4 years. So for the past 3, I've been listening to this one because they put, regardless season or off season, they've got content every week, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. Other than that, I'm a big Office fan. I've been listening to the Office Ladies podcast.
Because look, I love The Office as well, and I've listened to the Office Ladies podcast, and I got to be honest with you, I think it leaves a lot left to be desired.
They've had the actual layout of the show has gotten a lot better over the past month. I think they've really kind of grasped how to do a podcast and lay it out. But
I thought it was brutal to start, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, the first couple episodes were not great, but if you I hate to be this guy, but if you push through,
but that's how The Office is. If you push through season 1 and get to everything else, it's great.
It does get better. They're starting to bring in some guests as well, which is a very fun add to it. But the only one I literally looked because of this question today, I subscribed to 17 podcasts. Only 3 of them are non-wrestling. The other one is the 9 Club with Chris Roberts, which is a skating podcast, and that's very guest dependent on if I listen or not, depending on who they have. If it's someone I know, I'm down to listen because it's a very well laid out podcast. But otherwise, I'm not listening at all. And other than that, I just listen to a ton of wrestling podcasts for real.
That's me as well. I'd say pro wrestling podcasts make up 95% of the podcasts that I listen to, because we got this one. I got Living the Gimmick, pro wrestling podcast, available on any streaming service that you may listen to, of course. I listen to all the Conrad podcasts. I listen to most of the Observer podcasts. It's a lot to consume in a week.
Yeah, 100%.
I also produce a non-wrestling podcast, Reinvent Yourself, with my aunt, who is a bigwig in the lifestyle industry. She used to be the editor-in-chief.
No shit.
She used to be the editor-in-chief of Marie Claire, Redbook, YM.
Wow.
More magazine, and now she launched...
Auntie Alba getting it done.
She launched a digizine for primarily aimed at women 40 and older, but it's also for general people 40 and older looking to reinvent themselves later in life. I produce that for her. She has some big guests. She's like friends with, like, she could like text Michelle Obama if she wanted to. She's
what?
Like, she's like NBC News. If you go to my Facebook, NBC News did a huge profile on her the other day, like national NBC News. Like,
no shit.
Yeah, go look at it.
I will have to do that.
It's very interesting stuff.
Have you? Were you a listener? I know this is a little off topic. Were you a listener of the Art of Wrestling podcast?
Yeah, of course.
Have you checked out any of the new episodes?
No, I stopped listening to that a while ago, unfortunately.
He's releasing a batch of 6 right now that are the original format again.
Oh, okay.
It's did one with Sean Spears. The most recent one with Brody Steele. Very good listens if you want to check those out.
And I mean, I just promote him early in the show, but I really dig what Sean Ross Sapp does over at Fightful, and I think he does great stuff. So I've been delving into that as well. Yeah, man, I don't even really listen to that many sports podcasts because I'm so consumed by sports. I like sometimes pro wrestling is my escape from what I'm doing. I'm going to be at the Daytona 500 for almost 20 hours on Sunday, and I just need to not think about sports. You know?
Hell yeah.
That's that. But good question. Ryan asks, was the reaction Christian Casanova received last show expected? When is he going to get his well-deserved championship match? #NovaForChamp. So there you go. So other people also with me, Randy, that since he got screwed, he kind of deserves an actual shot at this thing.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think there's 3 or 4 people who we could sit around a table and argue about for the next, contender for the championship. But I don't think he's very far off. I was kind of floored by the reaction that he did receive because it's.
I think he was. Did you see his promo? What he talked about?
Yes, this is a tough crowd to win over sometimes, and in the very best way possible. They kind of remind me of an ECW fan base where it's either love or hate, and there's really no in between for some people. And to see him in a ring with Limitless original Anthony Greene, the world champion who defeated MJF at the biggest show in Limitless history, and Ace Romero, the hometown guy who really, was the biggest building block in Limitless Wrestling from the very start. And it was deafening Casanova chants throughout that match.
And Christian spoke on the Limitless Wrestling social media platforms in a little segment. And I got to tell you, I didn't think it was great. And I didn't think it was great because of this. He was so flustered. He couldn't get his words out, but it was genuine in that sense. He was so flustered. He could not believe that the fans supported him like that.
You can see if you watch this back on IWTV or if you watch the DVD of this when it comes out, there's a moment before this match starts where you can really see Christian kind of take in that moment of just realizing, hey, like this, for the first time in your tenure in Limitless Wrestling, this crowd wants you to fight. They want you to take this. Like they're behind you 100%. And you can just see that. And it kind of gives me goosebumps to talk about because it's a very surreal and just organic moment in the history of Limitless Wrestling. The night that Christian Casanova really became a fan favorite.
Yeah, and I want to be clear, that wasn't a knock on Christian. I was just saying he was so flustered because it was genuine. It was super cool.
It was just raw emotions coming out in front of a camera, and that's immediately post match too. That's pretty much as soon as he came through the curtain, Tony's there to grab him, and they're heading in, and it was cool to see that come out because this is a new side of Christian that we've never seen before.
Andy asks, if you could take a student from the Limitless Dojo and put them in a match with someone from Limitless, who would fight who? Be careful with how you answer this here.
I've got a few.
Okay.
I want to go back and forth because I'm sure you have a few as well. Mac Daniels, Anthony Greene is a match that I really would like to have.
I think it would be great.
I do think within the next few months, that's something that could come to Let's Wrestle. I think that would be extremely beneficial for Mac, and it would really be someone to put him to the test. I don't know. There's a ton that I would like to see. Doug Weiser, I think, would have some fun combinations on the Limitless roster. I would love to see Doug Weiser and top shelf Troy Nelson. I think that would be a lot of fun because
how's Troy doing? We haven't heard from him in a while.
Troy is doing good. I talked to him. It's got to be a couple weeks ago, and we're thinking about setting something up soon. Cool. I think he's ready to come back this spring. So
good.
Whether it be Limitless or Let's Wrestle, I'm hoping that we get top shelf Troy Nelson back in the world of Limitless Wrestling here within the next few months.
That would be great. Mac Daniels and Anthony Greene, I think, would be a really fun match.
You and Dave Dyer in a casket match. That's what Corey, a fan Corey, who had a question earlier today, that's a question that he kind of proposed is, will we see that in Limitless this year?
A casket match?
Yeah, you're the funeral guy.
What makes me a funeral guy? Because I was in a body bag?
Maybe. I mean, that's pointing in the right direction.
Okay. Gotcha. Because, you're tweeting this at me. I'm like, what is he talking about with funerals? I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
That happened to me. I'd like to see that. I think I would like to see, let's see here. I'd like to see Calvin Strange back on a Limitless show and doing something.
Yeah.
I'd like to see BRG too.
BRG has been fucking killing it lately, no joke. I've been very impressed with him for the past few months, and he's someone who had to grow on me because I didn't love him at first. I'm talking like in the ring. I'm not talking on a personal level. Like, I didn't love what he brought to the table at first. I just think that I thought that there were a lot of things that he could just improve on. Tweaks.
And my thing with him, Randy, was I always felt like he was trying to be somebody else in the ring, and then I think he found him.
100% fair. Yes,
and then I think he found himself.
He really did. I think over the past year when he dropped the Todd Harris thing and became Brett Ryan Gosling and really just kind of found himself as a pro wrestling character. And he's such a fun babyface to have out there. I love the team of him and Malik too. And Malik's gotten a lot better as well. But BRG I think he's hitting on another level right now. And I would not be shocked to see him in Limitless Wrestling by year's end.
That'd be great stuff. Eliza asks, will we be seeing any Limitless shows on IWTV in the near future live?
I don't know about live for sure. Unfortunately, they had a merger at the start of this year. I think you saw this with Smart Mark Video. So they've kind of expanded everything that they're doing right now. They're doing a lot more live streams, but they had a lot of renewals in their the distribution agreement and the price because of how they were setting things up with SMV and what they were trying to do with more streams. Basically, the revenue that you make off the streams goes down a little bit, and then the price of the streams goes up to host them. And it's at a point where I don't know if we can stream live without having to cut into the roster cost of the show,
the bottom line.
And I don't want to dumb down our shows a little bit just to stream them live. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally.
Like, I don't want to lose any of the quality or the complete cards that I feel like we present with Limitless Wrestling just to stream them live, because we are working with Frankie and Strong Style Brand to try to release these quicker. So I think if we can get to a point where we're releasing these, maybe 3, 4, 5 days after the fact, I think that's the kind of area we're going to try to shoot in until I think, like, for the bigger shows that we do, I would love to do live streams and maybe Vacation Land Cup and the anniversary show and maybe some special times in the year. But it's also a lot harder to string together some streams with them because of how rigorous their schedule is right now as well. So it's very dependent on basically what the cost of a show is looking like, and if we have the extra wiggle room to say, all right, we can definitely afford to put this money out there and stream this live and hope that we make it back in the views.
Matt asks, will there ever be a mid-level championship in Limitless? I think there are some very deserving roster members who aren't at the top level yet should have something to work towards. And my answer to that would be they're working towards trying to be in that main event.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's a ton to work for and work towards in Limitless Wrestling. So many people take so many different paths, and this is really it's sometimes more than a championship because we present a platform for some wrestlers who may not have got the opportunity to be on a platform like this before. We have videos going up to 600,000 YouTube subscribers. We have a very good viewership on IWTV. We have good DVD distribution. So this is a good platform for people, regardless if they're in the title picture or not, to come show up, have a fucking fantastic match. And if they perform well, if they connect with our fan base, if they're wanted back, they end up coming back. And, it can be a consistent booking for these guys. And, I'm looking forward to this weekend because there's a lot of guys who, like a Rip Bison, like Oswald Project and Demorest, who they're on this newer platform that they haven't been on very much yet. And they have an opportunity to really knock it out of the park and become core roster members for Limitless Wrestling. So I always think there's a lot to work for. I do think that, this is a potential thing that could happen. Never say never, but I think the likelihood of a tag team championship situation over a mid-level championship situation is more likely.
Ooh, well, that gets
to happen.
That gets us.
Don't fucking get your juices pumping. Like, there's nothing set, but
right. Well,
I do think that tag team titles are in my head a little more than a mid-level championship.
That gets us to Jamie's question: will Dave and Jay Christ ever get inside a Limitless ring, and will there be tag titles at some point?
So I never say never with tag titles. It has been kicking around the old brain for a little bit, but we actually tried to get the Chris in, for a couple years now.
I feel like you've talked about the Chris for a long time.
Yeah. I'm looking back. I'm looking on the wall now. Only Fools Are Satisfied, which is March of 2018.
Yeah, I was on that show. Mm-hmm.
The main event of that show was almost the Main State Posse versus OVE.
That was the cage match, right? Was that the cage match show?
Nope. The cage match was the 2018 Vacation Land Cup.
Yes, you're right.
Only Fools Are Satisfied is when you had Bear Country, I believe.
Yes, it's weird, but that was not the main event, though.
Yes.
As much as I wish it were.
But that was almost something that we had set up. I believe OVE got bookings in Germany, like a tour in Germany that weekend instead, because I knew the Chris weren't going to be available, but we still had Callahan booked on that show, and then he had to pull off for that tour as well, which led to Shane Strickland making his Limitless debut. But I definitely think it's possible that they end up in a Limitless ring. I don't know if it'd be at the same time because I know both of them are accepting a lot more singles bookings over tag bookings right now, but I would like to get them in. They were a favorite team of mine way back in the day as the Irish Airborne when I was younger and just getting into independent wrestling. So I would really love to have them go through the Limitless doors.
That's the Limitless Wrestling dryer.
Yeah, I was going to say laundry done.
Yeah, letting me know laundry's done. Jacob asks, why doesn't anyone besides Mac Daniels like John Alba?
Ooh, good question. That's from Jacob Drifter, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
I don't know. Why don't you? There was actually someone, I think Ryan, a fan named Ryan, came to your defense in the comments section of that. But there's a few people who like you.
There's quite a bit who do. Quite a bit. Like, for example, Tony B's question is, Alba is the best, period.
Yeah. How much did you pay him to say that?
I didn't pay him anything.
Yeah.
I played a show in Orno one year, like musical, like a guitar. And you didn't show up, but Tony Brennan did.
Oh, man.
Tony
Brennan's the man.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mac Daniels, Mac Daniels likes me because Mac Daniels believes in me and I believe in Mac Daniels.
Did Mac Daniels show up to your concert?
I think he did.
Really?
I think he did.
Oh, damn.
I think he did, yeah. we support each other. It's very important to do so.
That's good.
I don't know. There's a lot of people. For as much as they'll deny it, Danger Kid and Aiden Agro love me.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
they do. Danger Kid posted about me this week.
Wow.
Did you not see it?
I don't know if I did now. What did it say?
It may or may not have been the pictures of him chopping me with my shirt over my head.
Oh, yes, I did see that. That was exquisite.
But he thought about me, so he posted about me.
Right. I guess you're correct.
So I think you're wrong on that. Just saying.
Maybe so.
Just saying. I like this question from Kevin. Any thoughts on special guest referee matches? Was my favorite thing growing up. I know it'd take away a match from Eric Greenleaf, but could it be worth it sometime? Well, it's always worth it when you're taking away a match from Eric Greenleaf. But this is not a foreign concept to Limitless, if I'm not mistaken. We have to go back in the Wayback Machine, but it has happened, hasn't it?
It has, I believe.
In Orno.
Am I wrong? Remind me.
What did MSP not have something special guest referee involved?
I don't believe so.
I
No,
could have
because
sworn.
they had I know Danger Kid and Alexander Lee had a fans bring the weapons match that Aiden Agro got involved in.
I could have sworn there was something with a special guest referee, but regardless,
we had an over the top under the table match one time that was technically had like a bartender involved in it, but there was still a referee for the fall.
Regardless, I think special guest referee is a cool idea as long as it makes sense and it's incorporated well.
Yes. It's just it has to. There's got to be a scenario that presents itself for it to make sense. It's not just going to be something where we're going to stick, I don't know, John Alba as a special guest referee of Jody Threat, Chris Statlander. You know what I mean?
Like, I think you'd love that for the mere reason that I very well could get my ass kicked.
Yeah, that would be great. But there's been one time in particular that I've it was very recently that I tried to get it done for Puff and John Silver.
Yeah, to have Jay Freddy.
Jay Freddy was going to be the referee, as he was going to be if that match had happened at the 2019 Vacation Land Cup. But we had a ton of scheduling issues. That's why this match did not happen until January of 2020. But I'm happy we got to have it regardless. But it would have really put the icing on the cake to have Jay Freddy be the special guest ref for that. But unfortunately, he was not going to make it back from Japan in time. And it's just the way it went. But
Jason asks, have you ever thought about co-promoting a show with GCW, and have you considered bringing in Nick Gage?
I mean, I would love to co-promote a show with GCW. I think they're doing some amazing, unprecedented things for an independent wrestling company right now. They just had a mini tour of Japan. They're going all over the United States. They just announced a new show in Portland, Oregon, and this is all for a company based out of the Philadelphia, Jersey area. So very impressive. I do think too, if we're talking a show that would be in this neck of the woods, you do have to find a very particular venue to hold events like that. I do think though, I mean, Yarmouth is pretty lenient on what goes on there.
Evidently. So, are you a fan of Superhuman?
I have had a few nights where I've just sat.
You felt like Superhuman.
And, I scrolled through some of his videos and got a chuckle, but it's some bizarre shit.
This one's for all the juggalos and juggalettes.
What do you think of Nick Gage? Have you ever seen Nick Gage?
Of course I have. I think Nick Gage is one of the most unique guys in all pro wrestling.
I think you will see Nick Gage in a Limitless ring by the end of 2020.
Okay. That would be a big deal.
As a matter of fact, I might know it.
Okay. Nice tease. I hope you're listening to this podcast, folks, all the way through, because you just got a pretty big tease there that I had no idea about. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Nick Gage is a big deal, man. And you bring him in, people are going to pay attention.
But as I've always said, we've had this question a couple times before. It's got to be the right circumstance.
Have they done Nick Gage, Dan Moff? Because that's a match I want to see.
That'd be fucking nuts. I don't know if that's happened.
Definitely would like to see that one. Let's see here. Kevin asks, where's more gimmick matches? The Wet Hot American Street Fight was fire.
That was a fun match.
I mean, we just had Last Creature Standing.
Yeah. Again, this is another one that's very circumstantial. I mean, we had Dan Moff, Matthew Justice, Anything Goes in October. As you said, Last Creature Standing in November. So when the circumstance does, when it's called for, it'll happen for sure. And I think by the end of the year, we'll be getting pretty fucking nuts. But I mean, you look at last year, we had those two matches I just spoke of, plus that main state street fight at the Portland Expo that was just absolutely nuts.
I like this question a lot. It's one that we get a lot, and you and I were kind of talking about it a little bit. Derek wants to know, when will we see a battle royal on a Limitless show?
I hate to give the same answer twice, but I think it's very circumstantial. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like it's inevitable at some point, right? Like, there's got to be some form of a Royal Rumble or Battle Royal on a Limitless show at some point.
We've had them before, never on a big Limitless show. I say a big Limitless show, but like never on one of our like Yarmouth, Westbrook, Portland events. Right. Typically, it's something that we'll do at a fair or a festival that we're booked at.
No, I'm talking one of the main shows.
I do them very frequently in Let's Wrestle.
Yes.
I think every 2 or 3 shows, we at least have a battle royal. Every January, we have the Let's Rumble. I love them for Let's Wrestle because that's a way where when we have students who are nearing being ring ready, but just, maybe not trustable in a one-on-one scenario or in a tag team scenario yet on a live show, it's a good way to get them a little bit comfortable with being in front of a crowd. And, I like doing them to set up like a number one contendership situation or something in Let's Wrestle or a future match down the road. I think it's a lot of fun. So
I think
they're much
Randy.
More frequent there.
I pitched this before, and I think it would be the perfect way to do it this year for the Vacation Land Cup. First match of the night is a X amount of person battle royal, over the top battle royal. That earns you a spot in the Vacation Land Cup, and then that person still has to go another 2 matches to win the whole thing. So
that's not a bad idea.
So like a wild card spot, almost.
I do think the Vacation Land Cup for this coming year, the layout is going to get a little different. So
okay,
be on the lookout.
Well, I just think the Vacation Land Cup is very selective. So if you give everyone a chance, or at least a lot of people a chance in this wild card battle royal or something, that's not a match that's going to take up a ton of time on your show. You can get it done. It's still going to be a test for whoever wins it, because then they have to go through a couple more matches. So
for sure.
So I don't know. I think if you're doing a battle royal, it has to be for something. There has to be a reason you're doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
We've seen number one contender battle royals a million times, so maybe do something a little different there, and just try something out there. And I'm checking here. I know we got one more question, at least, making sure I didn't miss any. I believe we are good. Yes, we are. So this last question comes to us from Jess. What motivates you to keep going? How does being the promoter for this promotion encourage you to always push the boundaries?
Great question. I love what we're doing. I think that's the most important part is I really love what we've been able to do to change Maine wrestling. We've talked about it a lot, but it was kind of a shithole for a while. And we've really brought a different style of professional wrestling into the state of Maine that a lot of fans hadn't seen in quite some time or yet before. And I remember, being a fan as a kid and being super hopeful that a lot of these bigger independent companies would make their way to Maine, but it was just unrealistic. We got maybe a Ring of Honor show here and there. We got a Chikara show in 2012, and people still speak of those because it was such a wild thing to be able to get that in our neck of the woods. So to be able to bring some top tier, I have no problem saying top tier independent wrestling to Yarmouth, Westbrook, Portland, the state of Maine in general. That's always what I've really wanted to do. And we've got a dedicated team of guys and gals who are really they've bought into this, and they really want to be a part of Limitless Wrestling and see it grow and continue to build this fan base and have some of the best professional wrestling in the country and fucking the 207, the Pine Tree State, where it's a place that really didn't have a good wrestling reputation for a long time. So that's what makes me want to keep going. And I really want to push this thing as far as we can go.
Well, we're doing stuff in this promotion that a lot of other promotions aren't doing. We got the Limitless Wrestling Podcast dropping every single week. Now on Spotify, overwhelmed by the response to that, Randy.
Oh, people were stoked about that. I'm actually a huge Spotify user, so I understand the significance because I have a few podcasts that I wish myself were on Spotify that aren't, and it's a game changer for those Spotify listeners.
So you can listen to this thing wherever is convenient for you. If you like Apple Podcasts, great. If you like Podbean, great. If you like Spotify, great. Wherever you want to listen to it.
YouTube, too,
you
every
week. You can get
week.
it on YouTube every single week. I know a lot of people who listen to podcasts through YouTube. So wherever you want to get your stuff, folks, you get it. The Limitless Wrestling Podcast coming your way. We got lots of good stuff, including next week. Finally time, Randy, a week from now. We'll be talking about Practice What You Preach. We'll try to get you an episode this coming week, doing a full rundown of the card and everything. It is a chaotic week for myself, but we'll make something happen, and we'll have lots of fun. Anything else you want to add here? Thank you to all the fans who sent in their Ask Limitless. Randy, any thoughts?
Yeah, we had a ton of questions and a few that we weren't even able to get to. But thank you to everybody who sent in questions. Thank you to everybody who continues to support Limitless Wrestling. We've had a lot of eyes on us lately, a lot of support on all social media platforms, and it's greatly appreciated because we really want to keep growing this. And I was really worried, to be honest, at a point last year where I had come to the realization that I really wanted to try to push this and try to run monthly and try to really amp up what we're doing. And it's a scary step to take because, if we fell on our faces, we would have had to take a giant step back if the step forward didn't work. And as of right now, it's working. So thank you to everybody who's been supporting this. And I really hope we can keep this going for a long time.
Great news there, folks. We'll see you next time.